Navy Federal Credit Union is in trouble, and I think it's bogus. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Navy Federal Credit Union getting in trouble due to the gap between black and white borrowers trying to get approved for conventional mortgages. Now, this article, in my opinion, is really irresponsible because they're not giving you the full story. They're not talking about FHA loans, which are more accessible and only require 3.5% cash down versus conventional that require 20% cash down. So why are they just talking about one and not the other and making it look like that's all mortgages? It's BS. Also, there's a trend online in the black community, meaning you'll see videos on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram featuring black influencers saying, hey, black folks, if you go to Navy Federal Credit Union, you can do this infinite money glitch. You can do this play. You can do this scheme to get free money. Advice that teeters on the edge of bank fraud, credit card fraud, things that guys and girls are going to the penitentiary for every single day. But for some reason, that's not in CNN's article. They only want to talk about one thing that makes this bank look very bad. I don't know why. Is it a hit job? Is it a personal beef with the bank? I don't know. But before I go any further, let's get into the news clip. If you want to see the clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
And exclusive reporting shows that Navy Federal Credit Union has the widest disparity in conventional mortgage approval rates between white and black borrowers of any major lender. This is the nation's largest credit union. It serves military members, defense personnel, veterans, and their families. And CNN's Renee Marsh found...
Now let's pause right there. But he talked about as far as who's able to become part of Navy Federal Credit Union. That's kind of true, but it's a little bit more lax than that. I'm hearing about regular old normie people that don't really have a military connection being able to go to the bank and get an account or get lending, things of this nature. So that was kind of halfway true, halfway not necessarily updated information.
That it rejected more than half its black conventional mortgage applicants last year.
But it really is a nice neighborhood, you know.
Baba Tandi, a Kenyan immigrant turned Texas entrepreneur, knew this was his dream home the moment he saw it. It's in a highly sought-after school district that his son so desperately wanted to attend for its basketball program.
So how many homes did you look at before you found this one and said this was it?
We had about 6, but this was the one that we all wanted, and we were all praying to get this one.
Otandi's first choice for his mortgage was Navy Federal Credit Union. It services military members, defense personnel, veterans, and their families, and is the largest credit union in the country.
I was the CEO of my company, so I had a pretty good income.
Okay, so this guy is a company CEO. Is he a veteran? Is he active duty? Is he friend to the military? Why did that not get mentioned here? But again, I digress.
Credit was in the 700s. Mm-hmm. You had recently sold your house. Mm-hmm. You had $100,000 for the down payment, which was more than 20%.
Correct. I mean, what more could you ask for?
CNN reviewed Otandi's financial documents. He even had a pre-approval letter from Navy Federal in hand. But just 2 weeks before closing,
I got a denial. They sent me a letter saying, "We're sorry, but your application has been denied."
Were you stunned, surprised?
I mean, I was stunned. I was shocked. I was hurt.
The denial letter listed excessive obligations in relation to income as the reason.
Now let's pause. Now, are they just going to gloss past that part right there? Excessive obligations in relation to income. What does that mean? Can we get some actual numbers? CNN says they reviewed his financial documents. Okay, can you show us what he had on there? Does he have student loan debt? Does he have credit card debt? Does he have any kind of bankruptcy in his recent past? Does he have anything else? How about his expenses? How many kids? How many grandkids and mom and dad? And no, you got other property. Do you have any other mortgages? Do you have car notes? Can we get into his whole financial outlook, a window into his financial world? All these things matter. Now, if they're going to just skip past that, the question is why? Why would they not let us know what's going on there? Maybe if they let us know what's going on, we get a better understanding why he was denied.
As the reason.
When they denied is when we came back and said, oh man, there's something else going on.
And what did you think that something else was?
Discrimination.
But it wasn't just Atandi. Thousands of other black applicants were also rejected. According to a CNN analysis of federal consumer protection data, last year, Navy Federal Credit Union only approved 48%. That's less than half of its black applicants for conventional home mortgages. White borrowers were approved more than 75% of the time. It's the biggest gap among the top 50 lenders.
But the question is why? You got to ask the question why. Let's look at the reasons. Let's look at all the data. In order to make this be a thing about racism, you got to be able to examine all the white applicants and all the black applicants and look at what they have on their records and their financial documents. Let's compare and contrast, and then we can see what's going on beyond just the color.
It's the biggest gap among the top 50 lenders. The data also shows Navy Federal was more than twice as likely to deny black mortgage applicants than white ones, even when different variables, including income, debt, property value, and down payment percentage, were the same.
Let's pause right here. Okay. Now, income, debt, property value, down payment. Okay, we're not getting into the credit score at all. That didn't get mentioned here. We're not getting into potential of a bankruptcy, a repossession, child support. What kind of debt do you have? Okay, you may have, let's say, 100 grand in debt. That 100 grand could be student loans that you just got and you're a young person and you're making your payments versus 100 grand in credit card debt, child support debt, things of this nature. What kind of debt do you have? Okay, and then your income. Now, what kind of income do you have? Do you have sporadic income, a W-2, 1099? What are you doing for your income? Property value, where's the property? Do you have cash? Your down payment, where did it come from? Did it just come from you sold a house? Are you able to maintain the new home you're getting into? Because that's part of the thing they want to know with the down payment. They want to know you have enough money to be able to afford this. You can't just go in there with nothing. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just these things right here. A lot more that goes into it. And do you know that there's an automated system they run you through when you first apply? It's like artificial intelligence. And they look at all your financials and they compare and contrast trends that are happening in the market right now. And that oftentimes will give you the pre-approval letter. Then they're going to go and look at your financials with a fine-tooth comb and see what's happening. They're going to really get in there. It's a long process. I'm a homeowner. I've gone through it. So this right here does not tell the full story.
Or the same.
I feel validated at one point, but also I feel a bit of anger because it shouldn't be happening.
2 weeks after Navy Federal rejected him, another bank approved Atandi for a mortgage. Navy Federal Credit Union denied CNN's request for an on-camera interview. In a statement, it said it is committed to equal and equitable lending practices and that CNN's recent analysis does not account for major criteria required by any financial institution to approve a mortgage loan.
Exactly. CNN, these are not people that are underwriters. They're not a mortgage company. They don't really understand the criteria necessary to approve someone or to reject someone for a mortgage. They don't understand this. All they can just see is a color thing and they're looking at some basic information, but they're not getting down to the core of what's going on here.
That includes credit scores, which are not public. Navy Federal declined to provide additional data. We asked Navy Federal why Bob Otandi's loan was denied, but they declined to comment, citing member privacy. CNN's analysis does not prove discrimination, but it does show dramatic racial disparities in who Navy Federal rejects and approves for conventional mortgage loans.
But the question is why? If you can't answer that question, CNN, if you can't answer the question why this is happening, and all you can say is that there's a race element involved, that's called irresponsible and really, I would say, yellow journalism.
The black-white homeownership gap and the Latino white homeownership gap today are both wider than they were in 1968 when we passed the Federal Fair Housing Act.
Lisa Rice has spent decades as a fair housing advocate. She says the disparities in Navy Federal's lending data are alarming and an extreme example of a bigger problem.
It's definitely a larger systemic issue. And we know that we have a long history of redlining and a long history of lending discrimination.
Oh, my goodness. It's BS. Redlining. Matter of fact, I'll place this video in the box. You can see the rest of it, but you get the general gist of what's going on. They're trying to say that there's a problem at Navy Federal Credit Union, and it's about race. And to speak on redlining right quick, this predated the credit score. It was a crude way of being able to determine who was creditworthy or not. They would take a map and literally draw a red line around certain neighborhoods because they understood that these neighborhoods were not really going to be able to pay a loan back. That's what it was. So they have eliminated that process and gone with a credit score. And then once you apply for your mortgage, there's an even more in-depth and high-tech process using automation, artificial intelligence, where they look at all your financials, compare and contrast with everybody else in the country who has applied, and they're able to determine your creditworthiness from there. That's how the whole thing goes. It's not this racial discrimination. They're not looking at your application and saying, okay, you're black, you're not going to be able to get a mortgage. That's not how it works. If they can make money with you, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, candy stripe, they're going to make money with you. If they can't, they see you as a higher risk, they want to kind of pull back. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to everybody who's been able to get a mortgage and who has good credit and good financials. And just because you were denied does not mean that it's racism, because not all white borrowers were approved either. 1/2 of black borrowers were approved compared to 1/3 of whites at a Federal Credit Union. So why were the white folks denied? Was it racism? You can't just say that. I mean, it's really ridiculous. That's not how banks work. That's not how they make money, because if the federales are saying that they are somehow racist and discriminating, they're going to get fined. They're going to get boycotted. It might even get shut down. It doesn't make any sense. It's going to affect the bottom line, and banks are all about making sure the bottom line is bottom line and it is as profitable as possible. Nothing else matters. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think Navy Federal Credit Union is racist? Do you think that they are intentionally discriminating against black and browns in favor of whites? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think this is sloppy journalism by CNN. They're not getting into all the factors that may get someone approved or rejected for a mortgage. And they are putting this news out there as if it's correct, as if it's legitimate, when it's really not. It's bogus. Banks don't do this. Wells Fargo, same thing. They got in trouble talking about, the ghetto loans, because they were pressured to give more money to the so-called black community. And what they ended up having to do was get into the predatory lending because of all the bad credit scores that existed. So then they couldn't do that. Ultimately, if you want to get an approval, if you want to get a mortgage, if you want to get money from a bank, make sure all your ducks are in a row. Don't have any repossessions, bankruptcy, crazy credit card debt, student loan debt, crazy expenses. You don't have any money. Make sure all your ducks are in a row before you go there. And just because one bank denies you does not mean that they are racist because the other bank approved you. So were they racist in favor of you? Is it only racist when you don't get what you want? That's totally bogus. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.